in doing this, you talk hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I've talked a lot about roster retention. I've talked a lot about depth. I've talked about the ability of getting a roster that had maybe 50 players that could play in the fourth quarter of a game. I would say right now they're about 36 to 38 that can play in the fourth quarter of the game. So that hasn't met what I thought it was going to be. And to the audience, I apologize. I misread some things with the team as to what they could or couldn't do. And 9 times out of 10, I can read it. This time I haven't been able to read it. I can't really put my finger on it, except we'll just start with the basics. They've got to be better up front on both sides of the ball. But it seems like every single series has been a fight out there to keep pushing forward. It's been a fight. And then defensively, that's where I've really been surprised because I know Jim's system takes a little bit to pick up. I get that part. And Jim's system is also heavily reliant on the front four doing things in such a way where the back seven then can really do something.
Yeah.
They haven't had a takeaway in the last 3 games. And don't look at the Oregon game, say he denied Dennis Sutton, picked off one in overtime. That was a 2-point conversion. So that's the equivalent of the kick went wide right. It statistically
doesn't matter.
It doesn't come up. That's not a turnover. Now if he had scored, right? But they haven't had a takeaway in 3 games. That means Penn State, they block kicks. So that's where they've had short fields. But for the most part, have had to go a long way. And the stop rate for the defense in the last 3 games has been a struggle.
May I make
stops?
I know myself and Jason, we talked during our post-game show right after you and Jack and Raj and Brian wrapped up. And where I look at it is Penn State played Oregon for that entire game and fought. It was a fight, and it was going to be. Those were at the time, the 2 of the best teams in the nation fighting. And Penn State played a little bit of towards the end of the game, bend, don't break defense because they were tired. They were out there for 20 more plays than they needed to be, and it's difficult. And it felt like, as a lot of people have expressed, the idea of the word broken, that this defense, I don't know, we don't know what it was, no idea, but it felt like that game broke them. Something is broken, but we don't know what cog in the machine is broken. Of course, we know Tony Rojas is out for the season, or Tony Rojas is out for at least a while.
He's out for the year.
We assumed out for the season, but it's a long-term injury.
He's out for the season. Okay.
So he's out for the season, but even before his injury, it felt like the energy had drained. And then, of course, he's injured. You go against UCLA, and the defense just got eaten alive, as we discussed, by UCLA. And in this game against Northwestern, it felt like there was something just missing. I don't know what it is. I spent the last 3 days trying to put my finger on what it was.
No, I can't.
Nothing. I got nothing.
I can't. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. I normally over the years I could say, okay, well they've got to shore up this. They got to be good. Now being better in the trenches. I think that's where it starts. You've got to be better up front on both sides. So we'll start with that. But I haven't been able to really put my finger on it. And it goes back to what I said last week. We'll take it from an offensive point of view. It's just easier to do.
Yeah.
Okay. You run 20 plays. 15 are pristine. 5, there's a foul ball. The problem is it's not the same person making the mistake twice. It's 5 different people making mistakes on a play, and in football you need all 11. So you can have 15 where all 11 are, boom, right there, and it's a different guy every time that missed an assignment, missed a block, maybe ran a wrong route, something, where you sit back and go, oh, you got to be kidding me. Right? And when you're in a situation like this, part of playing the game of football is the emotion, and part of playing any sport is not just the emotion, but also the ability to have fun with the game. And it just seems like they have not had fun with the game.
That was where I kind of got to.
Because they've had to fight their way through everything to this point. And I'm not taking anything away from Oregon, UCLA, or Northwestern. I'm not. And it's just been hard for me to pinpoint why and why not.
And from the outside looking in, it feels like there is no fun being had. And that was the weird thing, because this team came back and it was all these new pieces, these guys who like bring the energy, bring the this, bring the that, and it looks like they're not having fun. And at the end of the day, what fans need to understand is these players are playing football, and it's been talked about a lot by a lot of athletes, a lot of coaches, a lot of guys. You need to be having fun. Like, part of this is you need to have some fun. Yes, it's your job. Yes, it's this. Yes, it's that. But these, like, Drew Aller's younger than I am. He's in his 20s. A lot of these guys, like Chaz Coleman's and such, are 18, 19-year-olds. They should be having fun while they're playing football.
Right.
And it's felt like there has not been fun being had by this team. The last moment that I can think of that there was some fun being had was Chaz Coleman's strip sack, where he returned it to like the 5. That was the last moment where I can see that team was having fun. After that point, it felt like it just was gone.
Yeah.
And like, have you seen this happen before with other teams, whether it was good, bad, ugly, where they aren't having fun? So I'm like genuinely curious.
Well, sure. I mean, I can tell you flat out, when everything happened with Joe, nobody had fun.
Yeah.
Everything was, every time you turned around, it was one crushing blow after another. The fact that the players persevered, hiring Bill helped them persevere. But, I mean, the last 4 games of that season, including the bowl game.
Yeah. There was
okay. It was just, so they played the Nebraska game, and it was just like a pall was over the stadium. The next week they go to Ohio State. Now, they won the game. But Friday we get there, and I knew on the plane already. I'd already known about it. So when I got on the plane, I knew about it. But that's when they found out Joe had cancer. So Tom had to tell the team once we got to Columbus that Joe, so like everything. Like every time you turned around, and then, you go to Wisconsin, believe it or not, if they beat Wisconsin, they were going to play in the Big Ten championship game. Right. And the game was 7-7, and then Russell Wilson and those guys, it's just boom. Then they go to the bowl game, and there was a big fight about whether or not to go to the bowl game, which they're contractually obligated to go to. They go to Dallas, and it just, Matt McGloin got hurt in an off-field incident in the locker room. Rob Bolden had to play quarterback, did the best he could, but it was just like, then everybody, of course, changes up, switches, all new staff comes in, the whole thing. You go through spring football, you're like, okay. And then the sanction thing comes down, which is going to go down to me as one of the truly, with all due respect, one of the truly disgusting days I've ever seen in my life. The NCAA did something. They didn't break any rules. What rule did they break? No. Okay. But now you're allowed to have people come on campus because they let the entire roster for Penn State. Everybody talks about today's transfer portal. That was it. Okay. You not only could get any Penn State player who could play for you right away, that could play for you right away, but you could go beyond the 85 limit to have them on the roster. So say you had 85 scholarships. I got 2 Penn State players. I was allowed to carry 87. They were doing everything they can to ruin the place. And all these people are on campus recruiting. So yeah, have I seen down and out?
Yeah.
I've seen down and out. And for years, it was in that stadium. It was an us against the world mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, when the night they beat Ohio State,
mm-hmm.
when Marcus Allen blocked the field goal and Grant Haley ran it back, and then people stormed the field.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first release of joy I'd seen. Okay, it was always us against the world. Yeah, we got you. That night was the release of joy, and suddenly the Happy Valley came back, and it stayed there for a long time. Now you've got to move forward. Terry Smith is a great choice. He was the only choice, in my opinion, to take over.
So tell me about Terry Smith as someone who, of course, I got to Happy Valley a couple of years ago. I've been learning more about this team, this program, everything. Terry Smith, I know he got here in 2014 alongside James, same time. Tell me about Terry Smith. For those uninformed, give me some background here.
Terry, of course, played here, and Terry was a terrific player here. You know, Terry, I think when Terry got here, he was like 155 pounds. And he'd make catches, he'd make plays, and he'd block. Terry was a tough, hard-nosed player and was a terrific player here.
Mm-hmm.
He played in the pros a little bit, NFL, CFL, things like that. He got into coaching. He was a terrific high school coach down at Gateway. Great high school coach. But he wanted to move up, and he got into the college ranks, whatever, and he was actually part of the Temple staff at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he's one of the first hires that James made here. And for Jack Ham and myself, whether it's Thursday or Friday, Terry has always been the go-to guy that we wanted to talk to. Yeah, we talked to Andy, we talked right? I haven't really talked a lot with you. I've only talked a little bit with Jim. Jack's talked with Jim more than I have, right? But always talk to Andy, Danny O'Brien. I've been able to talk to anybody I want, but Terry was always, without question, the go-to guy. Why? Because he didn't sugarcoat anything. No filter, very direct. Right? Okay. This guy's struggling. This guy's doing really well. I really like where he's going. Boy, that's got to be better. That's got to be better. Let's talk about the opposing team. Okay, well, this guy can throw it down the middle really well, but you throw it outside the numbers, he really struggles, right? The wide receivers are really good. I said, or he'll tell us, he's like, they're really not that great at wide out. They're not precise. I mean, he's just blunt.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of walk away.
And you're like, okay.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones. Catch the latest from me on the 7 Mountain Sports YouTube page. Find clips of the show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching up 7 Mountain Sports.